Hi folks. So I wanted to talk about two things today, two trends that I see in a lot of my clients, a lot of the people who work with me, a lot of the people who message me and comment on social media. And the first is going off the diet when you're sick. Acute sick, like regular person sick. And two is waiting for the perfect time to start healing. And I think the issues with these two topics are very related, so I wanted to address them both in one video. So I'll do the second one first. I have a lot of clients who are constantly putting off fully immersing themselves in healing because it's not the right time. Now, I will say that assessing your life and assessing the things that are going on in your life is appropriate before you embark on a massive healing protocol. I know that I was intentional when I picked the times when I started certain things in my healing practice. First of all, I decided to start my healing journey at the very beginning when I was first getting into a healing lifestyle. I started it right after my birthday because I decided I wanted to use my birthday as kind of like a last hurrah. I was very, very symptomatic at the time, and I knew, I was gonna be reacting to things I was doing, but I was reacting to everything at that point. And so I kind of decided I wanted to have my birthday, and it just felt like a good demarcation for me in terms of a new year of my life, implementing new practices. So if there is a certain time of year or date that feels meaningful to you in terms of starting healing, like a lot of people start healing in January, right? After the holidays, at the start of a new year, or they start doing it in spring, right? More of like the astrological new year when new life is starting, right? That feels really good to them. Or maybe they start it when they are on vacation from work or school, maybe during like winter break or spring break or summer break when maybe they have less things going on, or they wait until they move into a new house, right? Like if they know the place they're living is just not conducive to healing and they know they're about to move, like, okay, I'm gonna wait until I get settled in my new place and then I'm gonna start. So I don't want to make a dramatic overarching statement. There are good reasons to wait and start healing at an intentional time in your life. But that being said, I also have clients that tend to use those things as an excuse to push things off, right? And the reality is there will never be a perfect time to start healing. And a lot of the things that you are likely struggling with that is making it difficult for you to start healing are actually going to be addressed by doing that healing work, right? So at some point, you do have to push through some of the barriers that may be coming up in your life. And it's never going to be easy, right? It's never going to be a great time or a perfect time or an easy time to start healing. But at some point you have to kind of draw a line, decide, okay, I'm going to start, right? There's always going to be another holiday. There's always going to be another stressful event. There's always going to be another flare up, right? I have a lot of clients that want to wait until they're really feeling at their best, which for a lot of my clients is just not a realistic thing, right? And what's going to get them more stable is to start the healing protocols, right? Now again, if you are in the middle of an acute flare-up, yeah, you might not want to change anything super drastically right away. You might want to wait until you feel a little settled. But it's not going to be conducive to wait until you're like really feeling settled and good. Like that's what you're doing the healing protocol to do. So at some point, again, you have to just say, okay, I'm starting this. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. There are going to be obstacles in my way, but that is life. Like that is the nature of life. It is never the best time. It is never the perfect time. There's always going to be another excuse. There's always going to be another reason not to. And at some point you just have to make a decision and take the leap. So, I would say really be honest with yourself, right? Is this really like a practicality issue of like, I know I just need to wait until I get into my new apartment next month, and then, I can really launch into healing. Like something like that might actually really make sense and be practical, but a lot of times we fool ourselves, right? And again, we are always giving ourselves another out when at some point it just needs to start. The other thing is that probably what happens the most in terms of my clients getting derailed off their diet and cheating off their healing protocols. I honestly hate the word cheating, but kind of going off plan, I will say, is when they get sick. Now, of course, most of my clients are just very sick all the time, right? They have chronic illnesses, whether mental or physical. But I'm talking about like maybe they get a cold or a fever. They get some kind of acute flare-up of something. Or they just catch a regular person virus or something like that, or they get an infection, an acute infection, maybe something like strep or something like that. And the issue with this is that it really shows how the mentality around food and around healing in general needs to change. Because when you are going through an acute flare-up, or when you are going through an acute illness, like a virus or something, an infection, something like that, that is actually when your body is asking for the most support. So it is actually the time to double down and be double strict and double diligent, right? And I have a lot of my clients say things like, oh, I had a sore throat, or I had a cold. I just felt like I needed to eat this orange, right? Or eat these roasted nuts, or whatever it is that happens to be off their plan. Or I had to have ice cream, or I was so sick and tired, I just had to order pizza. First of all, you don't have to do anything, right? You make choices, right? And people have real constraints around their choices, absolutely. But those kind of situations are actually the worst time to go off plan. And a lot of times people will have flare-ups, or they will catch a virus, or they will catch a bacteria, more of an acute illness while they're going through really deep healing. And I've talked about this in some of my other videos, that the body often uses viruses and bacteria and other things as an opportunity, as a method of cleansing. So we know that microbes eat other microbes, and microbes often eat different kinds of toxins as well. And so these acute infections or illnesses that we get, like if you suddenly come down with a fever or a sore throat, that is often your body cleansing itself. And what your body needs is to get extra support in that process, not for you to kind of throw up your hands and be like, I need to go off plan because I'm having this unexpected thing come up. The other thing is that when you are having a flare-up, often that is actually a sign of healing. Even the word flare-up is problematic because a lot of times it is a symptom of detox or die-off, or your body addressing a deeper layer of healing. And so the symptoms you're having are kind of a side effect of really deep healing going on. And so again, having an acute flare-up is the worst time to go off plan or to abandon your healing practices, because that is when your body needs the most support. That is when something really incredible is probably happening in your body underneath the surface. And so again, these are times to actually double down as opposed to going off plan. I think sometimes the issue is that people get scared, right? They get scared and they need comfort. Discomfort is an extremely important thing to learn how to tolerate. Now, this does not mean we have to go all martyr, self-sacrifice, like move towards suffering for no reason. I know some people who get really into stoicism and things like that sometimes just engage in unpleasant practices just for the sake of it, and I don't believe that's necessary. But at the same time, a lot of really powerful processes, healing and transformative processes that we go to are painful. They're physically painful, they're mentally painful, they're emotionally and spiritually painful, and we need to really respect that. The body has a bigger plan for us, right? And if we run away from these processes anytime they get more acutely uncomfortable, we're never going to make progress. The body cares more about the big picture of our healing and transformation than your moment-to-moment comfort. And sometimes you will come down with a high fever, or you will get weird aches or chills or digestive discomfort or heart palpitations or extreme fatigue, or these, viruses or bacterial infections, all these kinds of things. Like, this is part of your healing. This is part of your transformation, and you need to continue moving forward and not use it as an excuse to go off because you're uncomfortable or you're scared. We're all scared and uncomfortable when we're transforming and healing. It is part of that process. And these foods and these old patterns of behavior, they're not going to benefit your healing. They're not going to fuel your healing. They're just going to set you back, and then you'll have to go through this process again later, right? So that would be my tip in terms of how to handle those moments. I think that if we stop looking at our kind of standard lifestyle and diet as comforts and reliefs and start looking at them as truly poisons, right? As truly things that have made us sick in the first place, it can really help. And when we normalize that some amount of discomfort and fear and unknown is just a part of the process and a part of what makes this process so powerful and beautiful and transformative, like these are experiences that we can really expect to have. And I know it's different when you're actually going through it. It's like, wait, I didn't sign up for this. We all learn that, right? But instead of turning away from it, embrace it, because this is how you really become a whole different person with a whole different worldview and way that you go about your life, is when you really surrender to this whole process. So that's my tidbit for the day. I think next time I'm due for answering a question about how I transitioned into my healing diet through all my histamine issues and my really intensive die-off and detox issues and everything else that was going on for me. I've talked about this a bit in some other videos, but I'm going to go a little more step-by-step through like those first 6 months to a year of my healing to tell everyone how I did it. Now, that being said, I know a lot more now than I did then, so I don't always coach my clients to go about it that exact same way. But I'm just going to share what my experience was and how I did it, because I think it's helpful for people, and people have asked. So, all right. Have a good day, everyone.